Without RFPs, what other tools do dReps have to ensure treasury-funded work is a good value means? So it doesn't mean there's no milestones or things like that. You can have an accountability and governance structure there. RFPs basically mean that there's going to be a group of people who write down all the stuff that you want in exacting detail. People bid on it. There's a group of people then that filter out and then negotiate with the people bidding and then award those people. Okay, so that whole process takes at least 3 months. It can take up to a year for an RFP process. And then all of a sudden, think about all the paperwork and bureaucracy. So let me get this straight. With Catalyst, everybody's really angry over all the paperwork they have to file, all the work they have to do to scrape by and get some money. And then what you want to do is put these onerous processes in place to go and have the very same people that you were already going to give jobs to go as a formality through that process. Are we going to bring new people in through this process? Really? Okay, well then how are we going to score and rate these vendors? Is it by cost, track record, quality, and also what is the roadmap? You guys approved the roadmap as an extension of the IO roadmap. So we're currently curating that. So you're going to have an unrelated group of people to IO go ahead and write RFPs to execute the IO roadmap that you guys approved. And then they'll try to make a decision of whether a vendor is qualified to execute the vision that IO put on the table. Doesn't make any sense at all to you. And oh, by the way, when IO bids, they'll be, oh, well, there's conflict of interest here. We have to disqualify IO. Or people are getting crazy. They're like, we want fully audited financials and all this other stuff. Oh, okay. So a large company like Tweeg or Galois is going to come and open up private books to bid on something. The price is the fucking price. How much we make is our business, not your business. I'm sorry. You don't go when you go to a concrete vendor and say, hey, can you bid on this concrete pour? Yeah, it'll be $250 a cubic yard. Can I see audited financials of your company? I want to know everything about your company, your operations. I want to know how much profit you're making too on that as well. They'll be like, go fuck yourself. I'm just going to go pour concrete down the street for somebody else because they'll take the $250 per cubic yard. Okay, so this just shows the blatant inexperience that people have with this process. So what we had on the table is, let's set up a smart contract. Sunday Labs is writing it. They're going to do a demo here in a little bit. Let's have a 3 of 5 key holder situation, get multiple institutions together and have a coalition bid out on large packs of work. And that coalition has an oversight mechanism. And if for whatever reason that doesn't work, then the key holders of the smart contract, which holds the ADA that gets paid out in installments to them, can stop payment. And whatever's left over in that smart contract at the end of the year gets swept back into the treasury. It seems a lot more sensible. And what happens is that now you have 7 months to discuss what a future RFP process could look like and how to build institutions to a point where they're credible. It's so bizarre. People are like, we hate Intersect. They're incompetent. They're overly bureaucratic. They're so bad. We're going to create our own institutions, and people did. But then also we want them to be in charge of the entire procurement process for the entire ecosystem. Pragma is going to go to Intersect. The foundation is going to go to Intersect. IO is going to go to Intersect. Emergo is going to go to Intersect. When in the same breath, you're saying Intersect is bureaucratic, incompetent, and overly process-oriented and doesn't represent the community. It's just nuts. Spend the next 7 months and figure out 2026, and let's just finish the original roadmap. What materially is going to be different? The developers are going to go deliver Laos. The developers are going to go and work on Paris. The developers are going to go and enhance Plutus and get V4 ready to go. The developer is going to go and write all the blueprints down, project blueprint. No diversity. You're going to have Pragma's guys working on their other nodes. You have Project Acropolis. We're going to explore how to build a service-oriented node, a microservice node for Cardano. You get all these new MacGuffins and features and things like that. And we're going to go do Bitcoin, DeFi, and AVS. And what it costs is what it costs. We went and looked at the wages. We put a slight profit margin in, but not significant. And we said, here we go. That's the price. And we went and talked to other people, CDEC. We got a whole coalition of people together. And we called a lot of people, said, hey, you know, what are you doing? What's your annual run rate? Throw it in. There you go. Could we be more efficient about this? Sure. But that then requires better oversight institutions. So your problem is not the vendors. The problem is the oversight institutions because they don't have enough momentum behind them. They don't have enough skill sets within them. They haven't built products yet. Going back to that, is it Microsoft or is it something else? If Microsoft is a counterparty, I wouldn't mind an RFP process because they would know exactly what they're looking for. They'd understand the customer. They'd understand the product market fit. They already have large networks. They work with partners every single day, thousands of them. And they're really good at engineering software development. So when I call up a Microsoft person, we can talk at any level. And we can talk about any level of depth. And there's a high probability that they invented the thing that I'm working on. So they're the domain expert. When we're talking about these members-based organizations, the majority of the technical talent and scientific talent is outside of the organization. And even when it's within the organization, it's conflicted out. Because then you'll have this situation, well, the TSC that's going to be doing this, well, it's conflict of interest for it to award an RFP to somebody they already work for. So all the engineers, all the scientists, all the people that would be qualified to even have a discussion about the RFP are conflicted out from talking about it for that vendor. So you have non-technical people who've never built a product and they have no material connection to the ecosystem being the judge, jury, and executioner over the people bidding. And it just becomes a popularity contest on Twitter. It's so absurd. It's just so absurd. And it just doesn't pass any semblance of common sense or smell test. And we worked really hard to try to get around this. We told the Intersect people again and again and again, there needs to be a transparent process. The dReps need to be involved very early. We need coalition style bidding for this year. And there needs to be workshops where we bring people together for both the roadmap post IO and the roadmap and the budget process. And we need to bring professionals in. And they said, no, we're going to keep it opaque. We're not going to publish anything. Even the board of Intersect was having trouble getting any information. And then towards the end of the year, I said, this is absurd. You want a blank check. You just want all the money to go to Intersect. And then you guys have a RFP process. You control it. So I said, let's not do this. Let's bring the dReps and get all the dReps together and talk about it for the transition budget. And then the technical steering committee decided to publish its own budget, which is completely disconnected. And then they had a Twitter space saying, I'm the greatest threat to Cardano. Sour grapes. Sour grapes. The greatest threat to Cardano is it took you guys 8 fucking years to figure out a network stack. You still didn't give us pups up. The greatest threat to Cardano is why we had to build DB Sync. The greatest threat to Cardano is technology that's non-standard, that doesn't play nice with anything and makes us an island and makes it really difficult for Cardano to integrate to systems. The greatest threat to Cardano is your absolute unawareness of how competitive the industry has become and how standards are being set right now. And while we have the right idea, we're going to get Betamaxed if we don't move quickly. And you have absolutely no urgency, which is why you want to go to a UK-based RFP process. Tell me, what was the last major fucking tech company to come out of the UK? Where are the Magnificent Seven based? How many people wake up and say, I cannot wait to start a competitive software company in London? It's fucking asinine by people who've never built a business. They have no experience in these types of things. They have no idea how cutthroat the cryptocurrency industry is. And meanwhile, while they bicker, month after month, we fall further behind. Month after month, people who need funding fall behind. It is what it is. And, fuck you if you say I'm bad at business. I don't know what I'm doing. Colossal is valued at $10 billion, just closed a $200 million round. Just brought back the dire wolf. How many people read about that? And I got the plant side of that. I have an anti-aging business that's going to be worth probably $50 billion in the next 10 years. I do stuff. Midnight is going to be in the top 10. Don't fucking look at a self-made billionaire and say he doesn't know what he's doing. Guys, I'm really good at this stuff. And I've been in the industry a really, really long time. I've seen what succeeds, what fails. And I'm trying to tell you, this is what we need to do as an ecosystem. And where exactly we're shutting people out? By saying we should fully fund alternative clients from independent companies, by saying we should fully fund independent institutions like Pragma and give them more independence and more power, by stepping away from governance, by not using my large supply of ADA to vote in the elections, where exactly am I trying to take over everything and do these things? I'm trying to create a decentralized foundation that is sustainable. And I'm trying to balance it with the fact that this is the bull market, and balance it with the fact that we have only a finite window of time for our standards to set before other people realize we have a good idea and steal what we're doing. You notice Vitalik tweeting about how great UTXO is now. Just the other day, he tweeted about how great privacy is now. I guess he woke up and discovered midnight, but he can't say it. And then they say, oh, we really need a proof of stake protocol that kind of looks like Ouroboros, but they can't say it. And there's dozens of other people that are copying. We invented the AVS stuff. There's a Shireen and a few others with Minotaur. You know what? They went on created Eigenlayer, went on created Babylon, went on create all these different things. If we don't move quickly, even though we created it, somebody else will get the value from it. That's how technology works. And you have to take a moment and say, are we moving fast enough? And do we have the right vision and clarity with these types of things? And what are we trying to accomplish with this type of stuff? And people get so caught up in these small details and they say, you know what? We just have to go to a zero trust environment. We have to pretend that people have no track record. We have to pretend that people didn't get us here and everybody's just new. And we have to have absolute faith in new institutions that have never delivered anything of substance to the ecosystem. This is their first time to do something and they bit the hand that fed. Does that solve anything? Does that get us where we need to go? Absolutely not. And if you doubt me, then why does Pragma exist? Because they didn't want to work with the technical steering committee and they didn't think they'd get a fair shake, but then they're going to go to them to ask for money? Are you fucking kidding me? It's nuts. It's stupidity at the highest level. And then you have people jump on Twitter and they think they're experts and they know everything. dReps, it's your decision.